Hey guys, this is Akshay Surya. Today we will try to use xConnect to update commerce contact and then make sure the facets we want are on the contact as well as we're going to make sure that the identifier we want is on the contact. So identifier, which is really a neat concept in Sitecore 9, is you could have multiple identifiers and you can add an identifier. Identifier is basically what you would like to use to search for the specific user. Commerce by default has a commerce user identifier, which is the domain and the username of the um, contact, so the customer. So essentially, it's storefront slash, whatever the email address is by default. But just because of the type of things we'll be doing, I'd need another identifier by the commerce customer ID. So that I can search faster and I don't need to get the current domain. And especially when you're in the engine code, you could get a uh, customer and then you could get the domain and stuff from there. But just having the customer ID makes it extremely fast to do a bunch of things. So we'll look at how to add the facets we've played with in the xConnect video in a previous blog post. We will also try to add the identifier to an existing contact. Um, and basically, generally, how do we set up xConnect so that we use it in the Commerce 9 engine? So remember this Commerce 9. So it's split between the engine as well as the website. The website is, all the fun stuff we've been doing all along. Engine is the .NET Core code, so it kind of is a little bit interesting, but it's fairly simple to set up. And one thing to mention is that I still have to set up the policies for the minion, which I'm going to be running. So don't judge me. I will set those up and move all the hard-coded strings into the policy so we can pass it on from the JSON. Once again, I'd like to give credit where it's due. Martin has done a great job documenting xConnect. It really didn't take me that long to find information on whether it's adding an identifier to an existing contact or anything like that. So, hats off to the queen. She did an amazing job. Thanks, Martina. So this blog post video is based on like creating a contact facet in xDB. So look through all of this. It will definitely help you. I also gave a link to the GitHub repo where I put in the xConnect project. So take a look at that, and then you will be ready to look at how this was done in the engine. I have not put the engine as well as the website code up yet, but I will shortly. So you should be by now familiar with this solution. So this is the solution I've been using to build the loyalty for Sitecore. And essentially what I've done is I've added another block in the pipeline to update the customer in xDB. So we have the minion, which is going through all the customers in commerce, gets the customer, calculates the points, sets the points for the customer. This guy is going to do all the kind of cleanup tasks. So when we look at this, we will go through the code, but essentially I want to make sure you notice this. We do need the xConnect client collection, xConnect, and the search, which is very important. And these two references constantly keep coming up even when you're trying to generate the model as well as running the sample application to tweak with the contact and stuff like that. So the interactive async and the provider you need. So I just wanted to show that to you guys, just so that you don't miss the references which you need. Here, essentially, it looks like any other pipeline block which we've already had in this series, where we get the customer with the updated points value, and in here, essentially, again, look at the previous video, but we get the thumbprint. We're specifying where to go to talk to xConnect, and again, all of these strings need to be in a policy in JSON, and then we need to pull it in. That's something which I will work on. But essentially, we connect to xConnect using that code, and I'll post this code on the blog post. And we are trying to get the user based on the commerce user, identifier. And again, like I mentioned, at some point, maybe we have another job which goes through and updates all of them with the identifier of the customer ID. But for now, this will suffice. And again, this needs to go into config. We're trying to get the contact, and we're trying to expand. Again, in the background, this is going through our data. So we're trying to expand it to open up the facets for personal information, loyalty, as well as commerce. And essentially, the first thing we're doing is, hey, is there an identifier called, the loyalty customer ID? If there is, great. If there isn't, we're basically adding it to that contact with the customer ID. And here again, we're essentially saying, hey, do we have a loyalty point facet? If we do or don't, either way, we need to update with the new values we just generated in the minion in the previous block. And then we set the facet, we send it out to xConnect, so it updates it. And then in here again, we check if the commerce loyalty facet set, or if it's set but the customer ID doesn't match, for whatever purposes. Essentially, we're going in again, setting the facet. This is not so necessary. This is mainly for an example. I had done it, and then we push it out to xConnect. Next, we'll try to run this. So let me kind of show you where we are, right? So we have the identifiers, and I will try to run it. Let me close this guy out. So essentially, we have two charts, like I had mentioned. We have this customer who I'm going to be updating. We already have the loyalty facet for this customer, but we do not have, so if you notice here, we do not have an identifier for that customer. So we will run this, and then we will make sure that this guy has it. All right, so let's run it. So essentially, I have the authoring stopped at this moment, and I am running this guy. So this contact, I don't really care for because this guy I had already updated. So I'm just going to run through so we can see the next contact who we are interested in, because that guy never had it. So this one, yep, this is the contact we need. We have, as you can see, the facets we need, which is great. But in terms of identifiers, if you look at it, we have 3 as well. But this is the commerce user, this is the anonymous, this is the anonymous as well. So this guy does not have the identifier for a loyalty customer. So we're going to go ahead, submit that. I'm going to wait right there, and let me run this so you can see it. So at this point, we have this. This is exactly what we need. And also, this is encrypted. Again, you need the cert in order for you to get the value, but just wanted to show you that. Let's go ahead and then try to get the guy. The guy already has it. We updated the new points that went through, as well as this guy. Looks like we have an error saying, oh, the facet already exists. So that's perfect. So basically, I'm trying to create a new facet where it doesn't belong. That's partly my code issue. So I'm going to fix the code right now, and then we can take it from there. Okay, just refactor just a little bit just to make sure that we don't get the same error again. And as you can see, it runs through, which shouldn't be an issue. And then we have another customer we have to parse through. We will go through that as well. And, you know, it runs the way it's supposed to and takes care of it. So that's essentially what I wanted to show you guys. Being able to use this, I have a little bit of refactoring of moving this out, but I will definitely do that on the website. And this part of it is taken care of by the on the website, and this is taken care of by the connection string, but on the engine side, we don't have that. Again, Stack Exchange and Slack are great tools for you to use. Thanks again. Talk to you next time.